good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our participants who've joined us from different parts of the globe. Thanks much for having spared your precious and valuable time and having made to this webinar. This is your host, Asif Hussain, a project lead with Doensis, having 15 years of experience, specializing in Oracle Cloud, and of course, other Oracle products, including Oracle E-Business Suite. Well, friends, gone are those days when people used to think about whether to go to cloud or not. So the thinking has changed dramatically over a period of time. Therefore, the question isn't anymore, should I go or not? Now it is rather, when should I go? It's the decision on the timeline that has to be taken. Should it be now or later? Should it be just the dev and the test environments or the live production environment as well? Or even some customers are thinking about having just their disaster recovery on their cloud just to start with. Either way, as the saying goes in the English language, all roads lead to Rome. So I'd say all businesses, or probably a majority of businesses, are heading to the cloud. So to say, ladies and gentlemen, as work from home has become the new normal with the current pandemic, adoption of cloud has also become normal as the concept of cloud has already sunk into a lot of business strategies. Next. Doensis is a software-based organization headquartered in Dallas with offshore development centers back in India. Doensis started in the year 2006. Time since its inception, we Doens have been serving our huge clientele across the globe, which includes a lot of Fortune 500 customers. We specialize and support our customers in Oracle EBS administration, Apex, and we also do projects on ERP implementations, upgrades, and supports, and also on other Oracle products as well. As we all know, cloud is where the world is heading. Whether we love it or we loathe it, we have to live with it. That's the new normal. Doensis, an Oracle partner, has been at the forefront, specializing into the cloud technologies and already lifted and shifted, so to say, moved and improved a lot of businesses with a gamut of Oracle products from on-premise to the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Next. As you can see on the screen now, you have a takeaway. We have a culture of sharing the knowledge within Doensis. We Doens believe that knowledge multiplies by sharing. This is one of the 6 books authored by the experts of Doensis. A code will be shared with you so that you will be able to download the book free of cost. Next. Well, friends, let me tell you, today's topic is no different. Innovative and best designs in Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Let me assure you folks, it's worth your time because you wouldn't find these designs online, not even in the Oracle documentation. So these designs are from the speaker's expertise on Oracle Cloud. So then, having set the foundation for the webinar, let me take this wonderful opportunity in introducing Mr. Narasimha Rao Karanam. We fondly call him Rao. Rao has got 15 years of experience in total, which includes 12 years within Doensis. He has been supporting Oracle database, packaged applications, and of course the cloud technologies as well. Well, to be honest with you folks, if you ask people who worked with Rao, they would tell you he's the go-to man for technology. Rao has worked on strategic engagements and really challenging projects within Doensis. His passion for technology, knowledge, learning, and sharing is absolutely commendable. He is also passionate about traveling, trekking, and loves nature too. That's the soft side of Rao. And then as we progress with this webinar, like if you guys have any questions, please post it in the chat window. We will be answering your queries as we progress with the webinar. So I could still see a few more folks joining us. For those of you who just joined in, a very warm welcome. You guys haven't lost much as we just got started. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this short introduction, I shall hand it over to Rao.
Thanks, Rodosif. It's really a very wonderful introduction. Thanks a lot to everyone who has joined recently. So myself, Narsimha Rao, as Asif given a very good introduction about me. So I've been with Doyensis for past 12 years. So most of people who worked along with me know what I've been doing till now. And we would like to take this as an opportunity to thanks our management for giving wonderful opportunities and as well as challenging on a day-to-day basis. So today's session is all about sharing what we have learned across, while we review our customer requirements, as well as what are the key challenges that we have faced and what kind of information needs to be shared with the general public so that it will be useful for them in designing the cloud infrastructure. So as Asif said, the one of the key takeaway will be the book. You'll be able to download it free of cost, but that's not the only key takeaway. We will be learning through the cloud migration flow. So what is the relationship with the cloud migration flow and with this session? Okay. So that has a direct relationship while you design the OCI. So when you are designing your OCI, you have to keep in mind how the flow goes, where should I give importance to which part of design, and if in case there are any gaps in it, how can I fix it? So those kind of areas that will be identified and be taken care along with the cloud migration flow. Along with this session, we'll also be discussing about the cloud options and features available in OCI, which customer is recommended to take advantage of. And we'll be going through the multiple cloud designs available or may not be like explicitly visible to your eyes, but these may be available in the cloud in the market, but we were not aware of it. So we'll be going through such designs as well. And as part of this session, we'll be understanding how and when to use multi-cloud infrastructure or hybrid cloud. So there is a disclaimer here before I proceed further. The designs or the flow that we are going to discuss may not be applicable for all the environments. So you need to review your environment before you start working on it. So the areas that we are going to cover, it will be, there are few areas will be applicable to you, but not all the areas. So let's get started with the cloud migration flow. So most of you who would have already worked on cloud migration, you may already aware there are 5 phases to go live. The first phase is to baseline and define. What is baseline and define? Baseline and define is nothing but you need to understand your environment 100% before you think about cloud. You have to document all your portfolios into a document. You have to ensure each and every minute strategies has been documented and understood well in advance before you start working on cloud migration. And the second major part that you do during the baseline and define phase is you have to make sure what is the goal that you're going to achieve while you go to cloud. Now, from the design standpoint, what area that you have to give importance to is you have to make sure that what are all the technical areas that I have to take care while migrating to cloud. Basically, what is the operating system that we are currently in? What is the infrastructure that we are in? And what is the memory settings we have? And infrastructure that we currently in. So we have to make sure that all the informations, all the technical details have been documented and evaluated. we from Doensis have built a tool by name DB Full View, which will be helpful for all any customer. They can gather all the minute level technical details while they are planning to migrate to cloud. If you need more details with respect to understanding what is this DB Full View and what kind of capabilities it has, you're welcome to send me an email. We can share you the details, and that's an open source script. Now, once I have the information, once I have a baseline detail, the next step that we have to do is we have to design and plan. So what do I design? So here, the key factor that comes into picture is I have to understand what is my cloud capabilities. What are the cloud capabilities that exist in OCI, and how can when I migrate on-prem environment to OCI, what are the capabilities I should take advantage of, and how can I migrate? Along with this, the one main thing that you have to keep in mind is the risk factor. Let it be cost, let it be license, let it be the capacity, let it be performance. Anything and everything needs to be taken care during this design and cluster plan phase. Once you have a plan in place, once you have a design in place, then we start with our dry run, or I would say the dev phase or the test phase, where you will migrate your on-prem to cloud, and then you ensure that you tested all the functionalities that are available on cloud once it has been migrated. So the key factors that you have to keep in mind during the migration phase, which is something not usually being followed, is when I migrate my production to go live. Okay, when I migrate my production system to OCI, post my production go live, there are certain factors that is needed. Okay, those areas may not be, not all the time, may not be like tested during the migration flow. So what we recommend is when you're designing your OCI migration, you have to make sure that those areas also been designed and also been tested when you are in the dev or test phase. Reason is it will be helpful when you go to production, there won't be any new surprises. And next is the validate phase. The validate phase is particularly for focusing on the production system. So the key factor that you have to keep in mind here is you have to design production like 99.99% production like system in OCI, and you have to migrate your UAT to cloud, and you have to do your end-to-end testing along with your business users. That's preferable, that's suggestible. Okay, so here also, here in validate phase with respect to design, you have to keep in mind that you have validated your backup and restoration testing, and also your BCP process. Is my automated failover works? Is there any steps needs to be documented post go live? What will happen with respect to the application configurations? What are the factors that I have to make sure before I take it to go live? Okay. Now the production phase. The production phase is nothing but just executing the scripts. You have to make sure that you just follow the plan, migrate to the cloud, and ensure that everything is there as expected. Okay, so you have to make sure that all the configurations which have been designed during the design and plan phase are there in production. So you have to make sure that there is a synchronization between migrate and validation. There should not be any gap in it. So the key factor that you have to keep in mind with respect to design and test phase, will go one more time. So during the baseline and define phase, you understand your environment, you understand your application configurations, operating system, end-to-end infrastructure, on-prem. And in the design and cluster phase, you compare it with the cloud infrastructure and ensure that there is how can I take advantages of OCI capabilities, and what are the factors that I have to ensure to test once I migrate to OCI. Then next is the dev phase, where you migrate your non-production environment and ensure that what are all the post-migration strategies, as well as the migration strategies, like automations or any monitoring. All those stuffs needs to be tested during the dev phase. Once it is done, then we will move this package solution to validate phase, where you will have the production like 100. You should have production designed infrastructure for UAT, and you have to create your UAT environment in that infrastructure, and you have to migrate all your end-to-end solutions to the UAT environment and ensure that it has been tested along with your BCP. Now, during the go live, you will just you will take the clone of environment, you clean up the UAT environment, or you will clean up the UAT servers or applications, and then you just copy paste your production or clone your production environment into the production servers.
Yes, Rao. Seems like we've got a question from one of the attendees. He says,
Okay.
is there any timeline for lift and shift of Oracle E-Business Suite to OCI migration? I suppose, he means like, is there anything like one size fits all?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a very wonderful question. That's pretty much we used to get it whenever we handle customer requirements. So there is no straightforward answer for it. It depends upon the multiple factors. Like for instance, I'll tell you what are the key areas that will impact your timeline. Okay, your size of your database, your size of your application, your number of applications, the number of integrations that you have, the design that you're going to plan with respect to hybrid cloud or multi-cloud. So those areas, all those areas will come into picture when you plan for your timeline. Okay, so in short, I would say larger the scope, larger the timeline. So what is the best thing to consider is during the design phase. Okay, when you are in the design phase, you have to keep in mind the timeline, like when you want to go live. That will be defined during your baseline and define phase. You will design like at what stage or before when I want to go to before what date I should be in cloud. Okay, so based on that, you prioritize it, you group it during the design and cluster phase. So that is the stage where you have to think about your timeline. How can I what are all the options that I can take advantage in order to reduce my timeline with respect to migration. Okay, I hope I answered the question.
Yes, Rao, absolutely. Whatever you said makes sense, because this is what we've learned from our experience. Whatever lift and shift we've done for different customers to OCI, there isn't like one size fits all. I know there are n number of factors, so it differs from customer to customer, from project to project. Okay,
Right.
we've got another question which has come in. Well, in case the person who's asking the question, in case if you want to ask, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Otherwise, I can read it on your behalf. Okay, let me go ahead. So the question is, from OCI architect standpoint, what kind of validation has to be done post lift and shift to OCI cloud during the test and the dev phase?
That's wonderful. So I would highly recommend that when you are defining your cloud migration, okay, when you are in the define phase itself, you will have an idea of what are all the areas that is needed post I migrate to OCI. Like for instance, you will have your monitoring, you will have your backup and restoration, and you will have your BCP. All those areas that you'll come into picture, like what is needed for your production, you have to keep that in mind. Okay, that has to be BCP, I would recommend to do it during the validation phase, that is on the UAT phase. But with respect to your backup and restoration testing, with respect to your monitoring and as well as the performance metrics, those areas, I would recommend to do those testing during the dev and test phase. Does it answer your question?
I hope it does. Okay, I could still see a few more questions, in the queue. So now,
Okay.
shall we proceed further, and then probably we'll take these questions as we go through.
That would be better.
Yeah. Let's go with the slide forward.
Okay. Now let's take a quick look at OCI. I know this session is all about how we migrate to OCI. So I am under understanding or assumption that most of you are already aware of what is OCI is all about. But maybe like there are few people who may not be aware of what is this OCI is all about. Okay. So for those, I'll just quickly cover OCI in nutshell. OCI is nothing but is the offering from Oracle for the public cloud, where you can host your compute, networking, storage, all the edge services in OCI data centers, Oracle data centers. Now, the key factors that you have to keep in mind is it is very well optimized for all the Oracle workloads. And it is very much optimized with respect to the price and performance. Okay, we will be going through, we'll be discussing more in detail with respect to the what are the capabilities that OCI has and what are the factors that you have to keep in mind while you migrate to OCI. So let's take a quick look at one of the design. So along with it, there are a few areas that I have to highlight. So we'll first highlight those areas, and then we'll explain the design, and then we'll move on to the options. Now, when you are planning for any cloud vendor for that matter, you have to keep in mind with respect to the regions and as well as the capabilities that are available in OCI. That is the point that I've been keep emphasizing while discussing. So as part of it, there are a few key areas that OCI gives as an advantage. So one of such thing is the fault domain, where it is a kind of failover, functionality that can be taken advantage while you migrate to OCI. Okay, so for instance, let's take an example here. So I have a OneNode database and OneNode application. Now I want to have a passive high availability within the single availability domain, and along with that, I would like to have a BCP being planned for it. So it is kind of a cost-effective design where, if in case I have any hardware maintenance or operating system maintenance, I don't need to go and afford a downtime. I will have I can plan for a failover, internal failover within the database and application system. So if you take a close look at it, we have a database single node rack. In the same server, we can host an application passive node where you will have your IaaS, internet applications services, or any other custom applications can be running, can be made as a custom in that node. I'll have another active application node where the application services will be actively running, but I can make my rack one node manual failover to the other node, passive node. So what is the advantage of it? So if in case there is an hardware patching or any maintenance for that matter, or for instance, if the fault domain 1 or the server 1 is going to go down for some reasons, you will have a failover to the other server. Okay, so the key factors that you have to keep in mind or highlight here is you should have a load balancer in place in order to load balance between the database and application server. And also you should have an alternate host which will be used for the application configuration. Now coming to the BCP standpoint, okay, I'll have a data card or physical standby configured in my another availability domain, where I'll have my passive standby running in another server. It can be, I can have it on the same database. The applications can be routing to the same server, or I can have a separate application based on the customer preference. Now, so with respect to designing the cloud infrastructure, the key, what are all the key areas that you have to keep in mind? So as I mentioned in the introduction itself, your environment or customer environment may not require all the areas, but it is mandatory as well as it is highly recommended to consider all the options while migrating to OCI. Reason is, today you may not require these options, but later in the year or in future you may require it, but at that time you no need to go back and redesign the complete solution. So it is highly recommended when you are planning for a OCI migration, make sure that you cover all those areas that have been listed here. So I'll go quickly go through the list. You have to make sure your security and access is being taken care, not just from the operating system standpoint. You have to make sure your application access, your database access, how am I overall going to access my database, those areas needs to be taken care while planning on security and access. Also, along with when you are planning for security, you have to make sure your networking is also being designed along with the security rules. Now, the next factors that you have to keep in mind is the server and compute. This go in hands with storage, where you have to measure your performance. You have to make sure how is my database and application performance. Ensure that everything is good while working on OCI. So there is a question that been asked, right? So what kind of testing I have to do during the dev phase? So this is one of the areas that you have to test. You have to ensure that how is my performance in OCI once I migrated. You have to correlate with your compute performance, compute and storage performance versus your expected performance. And once I design my compute and storage, I have to give importance to my database and applications. So what are the options that are there with respect to database? Whether I should go with cloud services, whether I should go for autonomous, or whether I should go with any multi-cloud options. Those has to be considered when you are planning for database and applications. Now the next factor is the high availability. You have to make sure that how many nodes of applications I need, whether I can go with a single AD or should I go with multi-AD or should I go with multi-cloud. How important is my high availability? You have to define and design your high availability. Along with your security, the audit comes into importance. You have to make sure that all the key areas, all the important areas being audited. Oracle always recommend us to enable auditing for all the key areas that is needed for maintaining your resources in OCI. Next is if I have multiple applications and database, or if I have other key applications running in on-prem and it needs to be integrated with the OCI resources, then I need to plan for the integrations as well. Okay, and we already spoke about storage. Now, from the maintenance strategy standpoint, you have to make sure that you have your backup in place, backup strategy in place. You have to make sure that has been tested, been working, and the restoration is happening within the timeline being expected. And also you have to think and plan for your BCP. Some customer, while going live, they may not think about BCP. but 90% of the customers will agree that they definitely need to go with BCP solution along with the Golai. And the last but not the least is the monitoring and automation, where you have to make sure that how am I going to measure my metrics? How is my performance going to be? If in case of any degradation in my performance, what is an action or reactive action that I'm going to take? What is the proactive action I'm going to take? Those needs to be defined along with your migration. Now, let's go with one option at a time. And I may not be able to cover with respect to the all the options that are there in the market, okay, but we can give few areas to give importance to. Okay, so those are all the factors, or those are all the recommendations that we are going to share in this session. Okay, if we discuss about all the areas, this session timeline is very short, it is not possible. But based on our experience, what are the key areas that you have to take advantage of, that is something that we are going to discuss along with this session. So starting with security and access, people who have been working with OCI, they already been aware that you can take advantage of IDCS. So the effort involved in configuring IDCS on-prem versus taking advantage in OCI is a big plus. Okay. It takes longer time, longer integrations, longer effort in order to integrate your IDCS with your on-prem applications. Means if you are installing your IDCS on-prem, but if you are an OCI customer, you can take advantage of IDCS available on OCI. Okay, so there are two factors in it. One is free IDCS Foundation and IDCS Standard. Okay, IDCS Foundation, you can have your SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS customer, end user access being taken care or being available free of cost for the OCI customers. But the key factor that you have to keep in mind is you cannot use the same for your ERP or packaged application. You have to take a license for IDCS Standard. Okay, so if you have a license, then only you can make use of IDCS for your packaged applications. Now, why I mentioned here, so as most of you are already aware, Oracle and Microsoft Azure as a partnership, there is one advantage that any customer can take advantage of is the AD integration with Azure Cloud. So when you are planning for your application authentication, or if you are planning for any authentication, we would recommend to take that advantage and then make use of it. And the other thing that I have to keep in mind is, excuse me, sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Now, there are certain standard rules are available along with the IDCS. Okay, you no need to go with that standard rules alone. Like you can customize it based on the each and every environment requirement, which is the biggest advantage when you're migrating to OCI. Now, networking is a very vast area with respect to OCI capabilities. It's very well built, very well designed when you are migrating to very well built and very well designed in OCI. You can take any advantages that are available in OCI networking. But the key factors that we would like to highlight during this session is the best practices. Ensure you use load balancer wherever and whenever possible. Even if you are in a single node applications, we highly recommend to use a load balancer. Reason is it is majorly it will be a big advantage when you are planning for any high available solution. Ensure that you have your security rules in place while working on OCI. Okay, like for instance, which server should get what access, what port needs to be there. those needs to be well defined while you are migrating to OCI. And each and every server with respect to compute instance, ensure that you have a secondary vNICs been part and configured along with your compute instance. Now, when you are planning for an IP address, you have to make sure that you have a buffer of IP address in place while you are migrating to OCI. And now coming from the business continuity standpoint, make sure, if possible, if applicable, make sure your plan for a DR and another AD or a different region or different AD, if applicable, if possible, try to take advantage of Azure Cloud as well. Now, let's move on to the compute area. Compute area is again, like, it's a very good advantage, the biggest advantage being provided in OCI. Okay, you can take a lot of key factors that are there in OCI, but few things that we would like to recommend. One is the auto scaling of compute instance. See, when you are planning for a compute instance, you may think that this is a limited number of users that will be using your compute resources. But when in future it may increase, so at that time you no need to go and think about, okay, now I have to increase my capacity. Okay, or I'll take another scenario where I might have a plan for 150 users for compute resource for 150 users, but all of a sudden there will be a spike in number of users, but that may lead to your availability issues with respect to database and application. So at that time, you no need to go and take it as a firefighting. Instead, you can plan for your auto scaling of compute instance. Now, the second point that we would like to highlight is the fault domain. The fault domain, which I already showed during the design one, where if I want if I have a frequent hardware maintenance, or if there is any operating system maintenance being planned, we don't need to take down the instance for that matter. Instead, I can take advantage of fault domain, where I can have one 2 servers, and then I can do a failover within the data center itself. Okay, so primarily it is useful for your active and passive failover. Now, the third point that I would like to highlight with respect to compute capability is the Oracle provided images. Most of the people may not aware of this, that there are a lot of free services or inbuilt packages being given along with the OCI provided images. We highly recommend to take that advantage when you are migrating to cloud. For instance, OEL6 or OEL7 or any packaged or Oracle provided images, you can take advantage of. There are a lot of good utilities that are there when you plan that are there and planned and given along with the OCI provided images. So,
well, Rao, is it okay if we can take a few questions over here?
Yeah, I would recommend. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I could see a question which is there on the queue from Gangai. Gangai, do you want me to ask on your behalf, or you want to unmute yourself and ask the question? Okay.
No,
okay. Seems like he has some internet problems. Okay. Is there any tool for copying data faster from on-premise to the cloud?
Copying data faster from on-premise to cloud.
Yeah.
Okay. It depends. See, with respect to the I would not say there is a tool that are there that is available, but when you are planning for any migration, there are backup solutions that are there. Like we have the cloud manager, that is something that we will be discussing along with this, which will help you to take the Arman backups being taken directly to your object cloud. But direct answer to your question is you have to plan along with your networking. Okay, so we have IPsec VPN as well as Fast Connect VPN, where it will increase the bandwidth, and as well as it will be copied based on the network bandwidth. The other cloud vendors do have their own softwares for that matter, and even Oracle also provided certain softwares which is not officially been listed, but we can take those advantages as well. I don't have any list of softwares on my on top of my head, but I can share it later if needed.
Okay. The next question from Prakash. Prakash.
Thanks.
Okay, Prakash, you want me to ask you a question? Okay. Okay, so Prakash says, in case the business case is to migrate and also upgrade, for instance, upgrade of EBS application and database, what would be the suggested approach? Like, for example, like if we have a request where we have to do both together, migration and upgrade, what would be the best approach in that case?
Okay, so here the certification comes into picture. You have to keep in mind with respect to your existing on-prem certified versions. If your on-prem application or on-prem database is within your Oracle support matrix, then we would recommend, or it is highly recommended, is to go to cloud and then do your upgrade or any changes in the cloud. But for instance, there are minimal capability. For instance, DBCS, for that factor, DBCS, the minimum version that is supported for Oracle database is 11.204. Okay, let's say your database is in older version, maybe 10G or 11G early release. Then what is recommended is to ensure that you upgrade your databases to the supported version, do the migration, and then plan for the further upgrade. Does it answer the question?
Yeah, thanks, Rao. Yeah, that answers the question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and the next question is like, what is OCI? I think Rao has already answered this question, in his last few slides. If that's fine with the person who has asked that question, we'll move forward. So the next question is, do we need to consider any licensing factors while considering those options?
Definitely, that's a very good point. Very good question. So whenever you plan for any change in your infrastructure, you have to keep in mind your licensing, how much of what license that you have on hand. 90% of the customers who are all subscribing to OCI, they can move their on-prem license to cloud. But if in case you're going to make any changes, for instance, if you take an advantage of DBCS, along with DBCS, you can take advantage of physical standby. Okay, but physical standby, you have to have your Active DG license. So some customers may not think about it. They may forget that they don't have ADG or Active Data Guard license, and they may migrate to cloud. So that's a risk area. So you have to make sure that you understand what is the license implications in each area. For one example here that we just covered is the IDCS. So IDCS has a two versions. Okay, we have foundation as well as the standard. Okay, foundation is a free that comes along with the package of OCI. But when you go for standard or IDCS standard, you have to keep in mind that it is licensed when you use it along with your ERP or application whole package applications. Okay, so to your question, yes, you have to, when you're designing your, or when you're defining your goals, you have to, along with your infrastructure, you have to ensure what are the licensing that you have on hand, and you have to ensure that the same thing being migrated to cloud. And any changes that you're going to make in OCI, you have to make sure that it is not causing any implications to your license.
Supplementary question on this licensing.
Sorry.
I have a supplementary question on this licensing.
Okay. May I know your name? Sorry.
This is Ravi.
Ravi. Hi.
Okay, if when earlier whenever we try to migrate it to cloud, the Oracle had a licensing policy.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you migrate the Oracle database to the cloud
Mm-hmm.
or any VM, they were expecting us to pay for the whole VM number of processor. Generally, Oracle database is based on the processor.
Correct.
If the whole VM is about 10 CPU,
Mm-hmm.
multiple power, they were asking us to pay for the whole VM. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason that people were reluctant to migrate the Oracle database to the cloud earlier. Have they come out of that kind of a licensing model like in the VM there are something called a hard partition and soft partition.
Right.
So they were insisting that you need to allocate the VM to hard partition.
Mm-hmm.
If it's too technical, you can skip it.
So if I understand your question, what you're saying is will the core factor of license will be same when we compare with on-prem to OCI? Is that
No,
did I make it?
For the whole VM, or are they charging for a specific the resources allocated to your database?
Okay, so with the Oracle licensing standpoint, I would say like if your database is running in that VM, irrespective of they will consider only for that VM the number of cores that is been allocated for that VM.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
You also mentioned about the auto scaling. So
correct.
How the auto scaling would work? Suppose if I use more resources, then do they have the subscription based pricing for the increase in resources being used? For example, I bought it for 5 CPU license,
Mm-hmm.
and during an auto scaling, I end up using more 7.
Mm-hmm.
Only for that period of time do they charge for 7 CPU? Because other cloud providers have this kind of an options.
Mm-hmm.
I just wondering whether the Oracle Cloud also behaves.
It is still the same. It is not pay per use. Like when it based on the pricing model that we have. So if you are going with the a pay per use model, then yes, they will be charging only for that number of resources that you're going to use. Okay, so if you are going with the package model, like again it implicitly it is based on the usage. Now coming to the I hope that answers your question, but with respect to the factor how the compute auto scaling works, it is on our control, like how we design the metrics and how the auto scaling been configured. I hope you have two questions. Did I answer both or any clarification needed?
No, my second question is the auto scaling, will they charge only for the duration in which the extra resources has been consumed?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Then other cloud providers, I work mostly with Azure and other clouds. Yes. So they have come out of these concepts like an active data guard or golden gates kind of a concepts. So at
Correct.
the time of configuring a database itself, they ask, hey, do you want backup in the different region? Yes or no? So probably it is happening seamlessly. So Oracle wants us to buy data guard, golden gate kind of a license for the BCP because
yes. When it comes to Oracle licensing, not everything will be part of the package. So when you're going with extreme performance or any specific editions, the license been implicitly been consumed there. So we have to buy them. We have to ensure that we have license for those areas when we subscribe for such capabilities.
Okay, because other cloud providers provide it as a service, a backup service. They don't ask you to buy any products. like a data guard? Okay.
There are like I may like I don't have exact details, but these are all comes under the services of Oracle. So it's all a separate product of Oracle. So that's the reason that they have been licensing for it. But yeah, from the migration standpoint, yes, we have to have ensure we have enough license.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
For answering.
Okay, Rao, I could see a few more questions there, but I guess we can take these questions at the end. So I'd suggest let's proceed with the presentation. Yeah.
Thanks. Now let's take a look at a different design where I have a real application cluster and I have a BCP. Now the requirement here is I should use means I need a BICS. So BI is one of the common reporting solution being used by any Oracle customers. A lot of customers are using it using BI. Now the factors that comes into picture is how my metadata going to get replicated, how my data sync going to happen, and what is the load that I'm going to give it to my production system. Okay, so considering all those factors, you may not require to go with the flow alone. You can twist and tweak it based on your requirement. But the suggested model that been shared here is like I have we can have a 2-node rack and in a 2 different fault domain, and then we'll have a application running in the same availability domain. And from the BCP standpoint, you can have your active data card being configured in the another availability domain, and your application being asynced into your another availability domain. From the active data card instance, you can take your metadata as well as data sync services running over there, and then you can copy it over to the BICS. Okay. Interest of time, we have another 10 minutes, so we'll ensure that all the important areas which has been planned has been covered. So we'll move on to the next one. So coming to the database, so as we already know, Oracle is the database company where we have extreme level of solutions being delivered from Oracle with database in focus. So one of such area is the autonomous. So if you are moving any non-packaged application, or if you have any custom applications in place, you can take advantage of autonomous, which comes with auto scaling, auto upgrade, and the simplified backup, and as well as the cloning process. Now, other key areas that are there is the performance hub, which is recently introduced, which is the enterprise manager console for autonomous database, where you can monitor your performance of autonomous database in the through the console itself. And the factor is like it is available only for the autonomous database. Now coming to the DBCS standpoint, Oracle, any package application is being certified with database DBCS. Now you cannot take autonomous and the DBCS are not same. It is a kind of a virtual machines that are there. Excuse me, that are there for us, in which your database will be running. You will have your simplified patching process, backup and restoration process is being automated. And you can also, along with it, you can also have your data card being configured as well, which comes like a single click provisioning. Now coming to the applications, if you are going with a packaged application, okay, any Oracle packaged applications, you have to keep in mind whether you wanted to go with IaaS or you want to go with SaaS. Okay, so you have to make sure you design it along with your design phase. Now, when it comes to migration, you have to take advantage of Cloud Manager. Cloud Manager is a very good capability or application being provided to OCI customers. We highly recommend everybody who are any EBS customer migrate into cloud, take that advantage, because a lot of very good features are there. For instance, you can automate your backup and recovery as well as the cloning process. And if in case you want to manage or increase your managed services, you can do that. And with respect to disaster recovery also, based on our the input that have been shared from received from Oracle, Oracle is like the disaster recovery is being planned, but we believe that they will release it pretty soon with respect to the Oracle Cloud Manager capability. And like provisioning is it is a single click provisioning. Now you may ask, like, why should I take advantage of Cloud Manager? Why can't I do it manually? Yes, you can do it, but the key factors that you have to keep in mind is if you're migrating multiple EBS application, then it is very tiresome if you do each and every configuration by yourself. So would highly recommend to make our life easy to take advantage of EBS Cloud Manager. Okay, give me a second. Okay, now coming to the storage standpoint. Storage standpoint, there are very good features are there. One of such feature is the elastic performance. See, I don't want, like from the customer standpoint, the requirement may be like, I don't want the same level of storage being allocated for everybody. For instance, I have an historical data. I don't want high performance. I just want minimal performance. That should be good enough. Then I can allocate such an certain performance, certain an IOPS to the storage. So such factor is nothing but the elastic performance, where you can design your storage based on the requirement. Okay, so we have 3 performance level. One is lower cost, balanced, and higher. And the tabular structure is given based on the throughput that is there. So we have to take that advantage. Now, the one thing that we would highly recommend is, which if you are working with multiple clouds also, you may be doing that. Don't ever go with your local disk. Always take an advantage of adding elastic storage, and then assign the and then have your database and application mounted in that. And also, if possible and if applicable, try to go with file system storage, where if in case of any hardware failure, it will be readily available for you to ready mount in the any other servers. So Asif, like, do you have any questions, or shall I go ahead with
no, I could see a few questions, but I prefer that, for want of time, I guess we'll proceed with the slides, and then we'll have the questions at the end. Okay, great. So now, in continuation to the design that we just discussed with respect to the BICS, okay, it need not require, like, like BICS, you can have your own as a repository, or you can have your autonomous also. Why we are recommending autonomous here is, through the autonomous, you can either you can connect it to the BI cloud or BI cloud services. In addition to that, there is an analytical cloud that you can take advantage of. So you can have multiple connections from your autonomous. So just to go with the design, you will have a production running in AD1, availability domain 1. And you can have your BCP or disaster recovery center in AD2. From there, you can have your autonomous database being configured using the GCC, Golden Gate Cloud Services. Okay. From the Golden Gate Cloud Service, Golden Gate Cloud Services will replicate your data, your maybe your complete database or the partial data, or massaging your data, whatever you want to do, we can do it. And you can import it into the autonomous data warehouse. From autonomous data warehouse,
you can take advantage of any any analytical clouds for that matter. You can take advantage of BICS, and from the from the ADW, you can make use of data integration services and integrate with your third-party solutions. For instance, if you want to integrate it with your banks or any secured third-party systems, then you can take advantage of ADW. Now, coming to the other areas, like for instance, backups, auditing, and monitoring, we highly recommend to take backups in object storage. Reason behind that is it is available across the region. So if in case there are any gaps in the BCP process, if you want to restore, do a manual restore in some other region, you can take that advantage. And there are certain standard rules that are there, the standard policies that comes for the storage and block volumes. We highly recommend to change it based on your requirement. There are user defined backup policies are there, and you can design it for each and every block volumes. And as I mentioned during the first phase, if possible, try to take advantage of auditing services like user data safe for your security assessment or user assessment, data recovery, masking. Those areas can be taken, you can take that advantage. Now, coming to the monitoring and health check. So the one of the slides that I mentioned is the autonomous database, where you'll have the performance performance being monitored, taken care, along with the autonomous services. Service console you can take advantage of, but you have to make sure that the compute instances metrics are being set, and the required alarms or notifications are being sent for the compute instances. So what I mean to say is, for autonomous, there is a OEM or enterprise manager console available for performance monitoring. For compute instances, you have to make sure that you have required metrics and alarm settings are being configured when you migrate to cloud. Okay. Now, I'm really sorry that we are running out of time, but if you can give us few more minutes, we'll ensure to cover the multi-cloud as well. Hope it is okay. We'll quickly give the highlighted informations with respect to multi-cloud. So with respect to multi-cloud, when to use multi-cloud, it depends upon the requirement. It depends upon the integrations that we have. There are a lot of good advantages that you can take when you're migrating with multi-cloud. Okay. For instance, OCI has a partnership with Azure, which is world known. Everybody is aware of it. So we can take advantage. There are each and every cloud vendor has their own advantages. For instance, Azure has IoT and function-based applications can run on top of Azure, and it can be integrated with OCI database. And AWS microservices are best in AWS. You can we can configure or integrate it with OCI services. So, and if in case our portfolio includes the SQL Server or data warehousing based on the Microsoft platform, then we can have our Microsoft services running in Azure and integrated with Oracle Analytical Cloud in OCI. So, in continuation to that, so one thing that you can take is, like, if in case you have your applications and databases running in OCI and your database in DBCS, you can have your active or passive data guard being configured in the Azure cloud, and your applications can be asynced in the Azure cloud, where it can be integrated with your IoT solutions. This is a big advantage that any customer can take with respect to multi-cloud. Okay. Now, last but not the least design when with respect to the multi-cloud is, so let's say I want a cross-cloud failover. Okay, I can have I can design in such a way that I can have my active data guard being configured in the Azure cloud, and as well as the standby applications in my Azure cloud, and vice versa. If in case required, we can have the standby in the OCI as well. And your active data guard can be configured along with your IoT or any function-based applications. Likewise, you can configure with your AWS also. AWS, you have to keep in mind all your networking will go through the public internet, so you need to ensure you take the required security precautions. I know we took a longer time than expect, like 5 minutes more. Sorry about that. And there are a few disturbances as well. I'm really sorry for those disturbances as well.
Okay, fine. So as Rao just mentioned that, unfortunately, we just probably exceeded by 5 minutes. We sincerely apologize to everybody for that. And I could see a few questions over here in the queue. Unfortunately, for want of time, we will not be able to take up those questions, but we will definitely revert back to you on your email IDs, for whatever questions you've asked.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, thanks so much, Rao, for the wonderful and thought-provoking session. Appreciate your efforts in sharing your knowledge and expertise. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, as we had promised, here you go. You have the details on your screen to download the book. It'll ask you a few basic questions, and then you should be able to download it. You have the passcode on your screen.
Yeah. And there is one question whether the presentation will be available or shared. We'll definitely we'll definitely try plan to share the deck with audience. And with respect to the questions that is there, as Asif mentioned, we'll ensure to revert back via email.
Yeah, so you have the passcode to download the book on your screen. Rao, can we move on to the next slide, please?
I think that's the last one.
Yeah, that's it, is it? Okay. So anyways, so that's the last one. Yes, I think we've come to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much to everybody on this webinar for being a part of this webinar. Do take care of yourself, stay home, stay safe. Thanks again for having come to this webinar from Doensis.
Great session, Rao. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Hemant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Asif.
Thank you, Rao.
Thank you.